arrival of Dean of Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman, Kuliah of Islamic Revealed Knowledge and Human Sciences, Ahas Kirkhs, Deputy Deans, Speaker, and Moderator. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Professor Dr. Ahmad Faris Ismail, Deputy Rector of Academic and Internationalization, International Islamic University Malaysia, IIUM. Professor Dr. Shukran Abdul Rahman, Dean of Ahas Kirkhs, Professor Dr. THAMEEM USHAMA, Professor at the Department of Usuluddin and Comparative Religion, deanery members, academics, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Welcome to the Ahas Kirkhs Professorial Lecture number 3, 2021. My name is Nur Iskandar bin Mazlan, Assistant Director at the Office of the Deputy Dean, Student Development and Community Engagement, and also your Master of Ceremony for this event. To get further blessing from the Almighty, let us recite Kitab Al-Fatiha. Ameen. We should be proud today because we will listen from our esteemed speaker, Professor Dr. THAMEEM Usama from Department of Usuluddin and Comparative Religion, who will be talking about the experience of CFK and Kirkhs in integration and Islamization of knowledge, the discussion, the way forward. Before we proceed to the speech from Deputy Rector of Academic and Internationalization, let us watch together the biography video of Professor Dr. THAMEEM Usama. Thank you for watching together with us the biography video. Without further delay, the ceremony gracefully invites Professor Dr. Ahmad Faris Ismail, Deputy Rector of Academic and Internationalization, to deliver his speech. Please welcome, Prof.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wa mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. La hawla wa la quwata illa billahil aliyyil azim. Respected colleague, the Dean of the Kuliah of IRKHS, Professor Shukran, respected speaker for today's event, the Professorial lecture, respected deans, deputy deans, head of departments, professors and lecturers, all the participants, students. So first and foremost, we praise Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for giving us this golden opportunity to have this very meaningful event, the Professorial lecture by Professor Dr. Jamal Badi. I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate the Kuliah under Professor Shukran for organizing this very important event. The subject also, I would say, is very much relevant to the vision and mission of the university. Indeed, in Ramadan, our university launched the Sejahtera Academic Framework, where we are talking about humanizing education through the Maqasid Syariah and Sustainable Development Goals, where we are talking about holistic, transformative education through values and wisdom. So brothers and sisters, indeed, I think this event is very much relevant to the framework, the Sejahtera Academic Framework, which provides us, all the lecturers and students of IIUM, to be empowered and to be creative in exploring the knowledge as well as identifying the problems facing the Muslim Ummah, and inshallah we will come up with the solutions for the betterment of our community. Brothers and sisters, indeed this event is very much in line with our vision and mission of the university. Islamization, integration are very important mission of the university, and more important than that is how to use this methodology, the Islamization, the integration, and how to translate this into a working solutions and a working model for the betterment of the society according to the Maqasid Al-Sharia. Of course, since the beginning of the establishment of the Kuliah, the integration between the Islamic revealed knowledge and human sciences, the empirical knowledge are done by all our experts and our scholars. And indeed, I think we have made a very good success in our effort in the integration and the Islamization of the human knowledge. The topics to be delivered by the professors in this Kuliah during the professorial lectures, like the one that we have today, inshallah, will enhance our knowledge in a comprehensive way, okay, integrating the human aspect as well as the community and the society. This is, like I mentioned, in line with the university mission to integrate the Islamic revealed knowledge and human sciences in all disciplines. We believe that in our Sejahtera Academic Framework, the job of the professors and lecturers is not only to deliver the knowledge, but also to inspire and to motivate the students so that they can be passionate and they will become a better leaders for the future, agents of change for the society. And indeed, this is very timely because the society, our ummah, really need the best leaders, not only for today, but I think for tomorrow, for the future of the ummah. So again, I would like to congratulate the kuliah for having this professorial lecture, where I think the kuliah can share the knowledge, the experts, the solutions, and the methodology that we have in order for us to lead the way and also lead the world. I believe with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I think we can provide a better alternative solutions, if not the solutions, for many problems facing the humanity. So again, I would like to thank all of you, and may we benefit from this professorial lecture event. Wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Prof. Haris, for the speech. For your information, this event is coordinated by the Office of the Dean, AHAS KRKHS. Distinguished audience, brothers and sisters, now we have come to the main agenda of this event. Hence, with the greatest pleasure, I would like to invite Associate Professor Dr. Amilah Awang Abdul Rahman, Head of Department of Usuluddin and Comparative Religion, to moderate the session. Please welcome.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in, amma ba'd. Professor Shukran, the Dean of AHAS KIRKHS, deanery members, head of departments, and respected colleagues from the department, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank the Kuliah for organizing this program and to give the honor to Department of Usuluddin this time. To one of our professors is to deliver this professorial talk. And the topic today is the experience of CFK and KIRKHS in the integration and Islamization of knowledge, the way forward. And actually, I'm not taking much time because the points highlighted by our Deputy Rector, Professor Faris, actually has been, highlighting the importance of this topic and how it is very much related to our university as a whole. And I just would like to say that even actually Islamization and integration are not only in line with the university, but actually is the backbone of the university. Though there are views, there are comments, there are criticisms sometimes on the Islamization, but I believe it is still very relevant and very, very important. And basically is to show how Islam is a religion that is a religion of knowledge. In the Islamization and integration, it involves the theoretical and practical aspects. So from here, we know that it is not only about practical aspect of it, of sustainable development, etc., but we must have the foundation from the knowledge. And that's what we are doing. And I would say that, of course, IUM is the showcase for that. And to prove that IUM, especially in the subject matter study, we know that we are ranked, alhamdulillah, even though we do not participate in the ranking, but we have been ranked for several times in the divinity, theology, divinity, and religious studies. So I believe this is actually to prove that, alhamdulillah, we are on the track, and inshallah, we continue with that. So we can see that the topic history of, it is partly about history, the role of CFK and KIRKHS, and at the same time, it is for the future, for the way forward. And we learn a lot from the history of the civilization, I mean, in which we cannot just claim something to be new, okay? We need to look at the root of the things, and we need to continue with that. And of course, we can refine, but we cannot claim that it's new. So I believe then this lecture is very, very important. And Professor THAMEEM is actually the right person. You can see already the biography. He was among the first joining this university. He witnessed what happened in this university after the changing of leadership from one to another. And he actually involved. He's a person of experience dealing with the subject matter. Then he was actually, yeah, you can see that even the director of Centuries, and he was the dean. Not only, of course, not to mention the academic and administrative position in the Department of Usuluddin and also in our kuliah. So with that, I believe, without further ado, I would like to invite our respected professor, Professor THAMEEM, to deliver his professorial lecture. The floor is yours.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. Honorable Professor Dr. Ahmed Faris, Deputy Rector for Academic and Internationalization, respected Professor Dr. Shukran Abdul Rahman, Dean of the Kulliyah of Islamic Revealed Knowledge and Human Sciences, Deputy Deans, Head of Departments, Professors, Associate Professors, my respected colleagues, friends, students, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First of all, I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving me this opportunity to stand in front of my learned audience to share my thoughts on the experience of CFK, which stands for Center for Fundamental Knowledge, and KIRKHS, which stands for Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman Kulliyah of Islamic Revealed Knowledge and Human Sciences, in integration and Islamization, the way forward. I also thank our respected Professor Dr. Shukran, Dean of the Kulliyah, for his kindness in accepting the topic that I proposed by giving encouragement to speak on this very pertinent subject that will probably provide some basic information to all of the academic staff of this kulliyah in particular and others in the university in general, including the students who are in this university, who will be able to know the history and experience of the two important entities of this university. One was Center for Fundamental Knowledge, and then the other is Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman Kulliyah of Islamic Revealed Knowledge and Human Sciences. My talk is divided into two parts. The first part of my speech will focus on the experience of Center for Fundamental Knowledge in integration of knowledge. After giving you some basic information regarding the experience and contributions of the CFK to the integration of knowledge, I will move on to the second part, in which I will discuss the formative period of Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman Kulliyah of Islamic Revealed Knowledge and Human Sciences. Coming to the first part, this is the focus of my talk. Establishment of the IIUM, Islamic Philosophy of Knowledge and Education, 2 kulliyas and 1 center, establishment of the CFK and its rationale, the CFK's aspirations and goals, courses offered by the CFK, objective of the courses, the role of the CFK lecturers, CFK's non-formal education programs, particularly Ibarra Camps, and then we move on to the weekly Halaka program, the themes of Ibarra Camps, Islamic leadership training course, intellectual development of the academic staff, focusing the key concepts during the CFK based on some of the Quranic verses and statements. Focusing on the establishment of the IIUM, we have to remember that the International Islamic University Malaysia's idea was mooted by Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, the then Prime Minister of Malaysia. And this university was established in 1983. It was conceptualized based on knowledge and education's philosophy as recommended by the World Conference on Muslim Education held in Mecca in 1977. So this university was essentially established based on the recommendations of the First World Conference on Muslim Education held in Makkah al-Mukarramah in 1977. The Islamic philosophy of knowledge and education, as expounded in the conference, embraces, among other things, A, the unity of knowledge in which the revealed knowledge, that is religious, becomes the most crucial component and center of Islamic education. B, the purpose of acquiring knowledge as a means of assisting the seeker in playing the fundamental role as Allah's servant, Abd, and vicegerent Khalifa on earth. C, the all-embracing scope of Islamic education as the process of developing the mind, the body, and the spirit of man in the light of the Islamic Aqidah, Sharia, and ethics. Initially, the IIUM came into existence with 2 kulliyas and 1 center. Kulliyah of Laws, now known as Ahmad Ibraheem Kulliyah of Laws, then Kulliyah of Economics and Management. And the center was Center for Fundamental Knowledge. The CFK was the sole agency that offered courses related to Islamic revealed knowledge and heritage to students of the two kulliyas. Tun Hussain An and Transri Muhammad Abdul Rahub were its first president, first rector, respectively. His Majesty, the Royal Highness Sultan Ahmad Shah, was appointed the university's constitutional head. The university had two governing or policy-making bodies, IIM Board of Governors and IIM Majlis. The Senate of the university, the highest academic body chaired by the rector, was responsible for all day-to-day academic matters and activities. We all know the author of the concert paper of this university was Emeritus Professor Tansri Muhammad Kamal Hassan, who joined the university in 1983 and retired in 2017. He was aware of what has been in the mind of the then Honorable Prime Minister of the time, who threw the idea of an Islamic university, which should be different from others in the Muslim world. Dr. Mahathir Mohamad was of the view that the Islamic university in Malaysia should be different from other universities in the Muslim world, focusing on the concept of integration of knowledge as one of the essential approaches to teaching, research, and learning. So Dr. Mahathir Mohamad was of the opinion that the Islamic university must focus on the integration of knowledge. Series of lectures were delivered and several intellectual discourses were conducted on the need for integration of knowledge in view of changing circumstances in the Muslim world, and train both staff and students. Let me now draw your attention to the establishment of the CFK, Center for Fundamental Knowledge, and its basic rationale. In conformity with the official philosophy and objectives of the International Islamic University, the Center for Fundamental Knowledge was established to provide courses that constitute the religious foundation of the educational system of the university, as well as the unifying center of the whole university curriculum. So the Center for Fundamental Knowledge played dual role. The first role was offering courses constituting the religious foundation of the educational system of the IIU, and then it functioned as the unifying center of the entire university curriculum. The knowledge imparted through the courses of the center dealt with revealed knowledge, which stands above all other categories of human knowledge and is essential for every individual to acquire in addition to other knowledge and skills. The Center for Fundamental Knowledge formed the spiritual fulcrum around the religious life of the university students. Subsequently, the center developed courses and offered to students of the two kulliyas. From 1983 until 1990, we had only two kulliyas. Only in 1990, Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman's Kulliyah of Islamic Revealed Knowledge was established. And this kulliyah was the brainchild of the second rector, Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman. Abu Sulaiman, may Allah bless his soul. The courses constitute a religious foundation of the educational system of the IIUM. Notwithstanding the fundamental nature of the courses offered, the center did not offer a bachelor degree for some time. But later, after 1987, the Center for Fundamental Knowledge established a master degree program called Master in Islamic Fundamental Knowledge providing opportunity for those students who graduated from the Kulliyah of Economics and Kulliyah of Laws, and they came to this center to do their master degree, which was the formal beginning of the integration of Islamic revealed knowledge with human sciences. Students from economics and students from law were admitted to the master degree in the center. Nevertheless, the curriculum of the center was not designed just for the intellectual growth of the students, as is the case in institutions of other learning. Its ultimate target was the integrated and holistic development. Let me repeat, its ultimate target was the integrated and holistic development of the total personality in the Islamic mold. Therefore, the knowledge imparted by the courses at the center was meant to be put into practice by students so that it will result in taqwa, God consciousness, harmonious human relations with fraternity as a solid base, correct behaviors, conducts, attitudes, and right action as part of your program, to live as true and genuine representatives or agents of Islam, otherwise known as vicegerents, khulafa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This was the rationale behind the establishment of the Center for Fundamental Knowledge. Let us move on to the center's aspirations and goals. The center strived to provide a correct understanding of the worldview of Islam and its relevance to all aspects of life. The center attempted to build up a generation of educated Muslims endowed with praiseworthy spiritual and moral qualities for the sake of attaining well-being, sujatra, in this world and in the hereafter. Here lies the vision of comprehensive excellence of students, which is currently one of the missions of the university. During the CFK era, comprehensive excellence was emphasized. Academic excellence, moral excellence, spiritual excellence were emphasized, which later on, when Professor Muhammad Kamal Hassan became the rector, it became an official mission of the university. It helped to avoid the artificial barriers created by man-made theories and ideologies, which have caused severe divisions among the religious sciences, so that they become reintegrated once again into the original unity of Aqidah, Sharia, and Akhlaq. During the era of CFK, this Trinity concept was always emphasized, not the Trinity concept of Christianity, the Trinity concept of Islam, which is Aqidah, Sharia, and Akhlaq. Whenever the academic staff were speaking to students, they were emphasizing the integrated aspects of Aqidah, Sharia, and Akhlaq. Aqidah refers to the creedal matters, Sharia refers to legal matters, and morality or Akhlaq refers to ethical matters, behaviors, conduct. Of course, the students on the campus were always talking about these things. That was very interesting phenomena that we noticed, we observed. I'm sure that we have two young scholars in front of me, Associate Professor Dr. Wan Azam and Professor Dr. Mumtaz Ali. They were there. They were the witnesses to what I have said. I'm sure Associate Professor Dr. Amna is sitting here. And she was a student in the beginning, and later she was the one who initiated the experimentation of the integration of knowledge, because she comes from economics. She came to Islamic fundamental knowledge, did her MA, and then she started to experiment the integration of knowledge within the CFK, and then after completing her PhD in ISTAC, she is now the proponent of not only Islamization and integration, she's also championing the cause of relevantization, if you look at her writings. The CFK endeavored to instill strong conviction among students that they had to play an active and positive role as Islamic agents in solving society's problems. So the students were motivated to engage in solving society's problems. We can see nowadays our university is focusing on community engagement programs. So in the days of CFK, we had motivated students to engage in community problems to be solved. Students were educated, trained, and inspired to realize the problems of societies around and then have to provide solutions for such problems. The CFK coordinated not only with other disciplines, but also with other departments of the university, which supervised the non-formal activities of the students towards the fulfillment of the concept of integrated education, so that there would not emerge any contradiction between what was being taught and what was being practiced in the process of Islamic personality development in a university based on Islamic principles, norms, and values. So the CFK not only offered courses, but also engaged in non-formal educational activities which complemented students' knowledge that helped them to really move forward with the concept of integrated education. The CFK made conducive and constructive efforts to offer the society, again, community engagement was mentioned in a different way. The CFK made conducive and constructive efforts to offer the society an example of the necessity to make religious knowledge the integrative core of all human knowledge in the endeavor to produce Muslim personalities who possess Iman, Ilm, and Amal Salih. Let me draw your attention to the courses offered by CFK. Many of us, except a few, are not perhaps aware of the types of courses offered by CFK. In order to achieve the above-mentioned enthusiastic and overwhelming aspirations and goals, several courses were offered, giving an opportunity to be chosen by students according to their earlier knowledge, background, orientation, as well as need. You may ask a question, why CFK was offering such higher level courses, whereas students were coming from economics and law. There were students in these two faculties who knew Arabic language, who were registering courses in Arabic language offered by CFK. And they were taking higher level courses such as Tafsir, Usul Tafsir, and so on, because they came from some religious schools and they were remarkable in their Arabic proficiency apart from English proficiency. So we provided ample opportunities for students to choose according to their religious knowledge and background and orientation. So we gave them this freedom. We did not dictate on them to choose only the courses that we wanted them to take. No, we allowed them to go for free selection of courses. The courses address the need of the Ummah. The courses address the need of the Ummah. Our courses were not purely dogmatic, not purely theological, not purely polemical, or whatnot, but it addressed the need of the Ummah and maintained equilibrium between classical and contemporary Islamic discourses. If you look at the list of courses, you would notice that courses offered never ignored the classical Islamic sources, nor even ignored the contemporary Islamic sources. We integrated both classical as well as contemporary sources and offered in the form of courses for students to really understand the need of the time. The total number of the courses offered was 38. CFK offered 38 courses, as big as a faculty at that time. Each course carried 2 credit hours. The total number of credit hours required for students' graduation was 22, i.e. 11 courses. So students, in order to graduate, were required to pass 11 courses from the Center for Fundamental Knowledge. These are the courses offered by the CFK. We have semester 1, 3 courses, semester 2, 3 courses, semester 1, second year, 5 courses, second year, semester 2, 6 courses, third year, 6 courses, first semester, third year, second semester, 5 courses, fourth year, first semester, 5 courses, fourth year, second semester, 5 courses. So students were able to choose. And you can see al-fiqh al-Islam, al-fiqh al-Islam, al-fiqh al-siyasi, al-Islam wa nuzumuhu, al-fiqh al-Islami wal-mu'asir. Then you can see ilm al-tafsir, qadaya fi tarikh al-Islami, like this. All these courses are higher level courses which were offered to students of economics and management sciences as well as School of Laws, which help them to really not only gain knowledge of Islamic fundamentals, but move forward to achieve the aspirations of the university in terms of integration of knowledge. Let me draw your attention to the objective of offering these courses. You may ask a question. CFK was a center. It was a servicing center. Why should this entity focus on such higher level courses? No, we had certain specific objectives to be achieved. And let me just bring to your knowledge some of the pertinent objectives of offering these courses. The objective of offering these courses was to educate students to learn the art of integration of Islamic revealed knowledge with laws and social sciences. So the first and foremost objective was to make students to learn the art of integration of Islamic revealed knowledge with the laws and social sciences, particularly economics and humanities, because we had only 2 faculties at that time. Thus, making students understand the philosophical significance behind integration of knowledge. The second objective is very important that perhaps our learned audience would like to contemplate. The courses offered every semester, the courses were offered every semester to keep students on track of integration, which allowed them to perpetuate the integration process. So we believed in the CFK. If we want to really achieve the integration of knowledge, students must be given an Islamic course every semester so that they will not forget the mission of Islamization of knowledge. So if you give them every semester a course on Islamic fundamentals, then it will make them to think about the process of Islamization and also the integration. The concept of integration will be alive in the minds of the people. And that is why it was decided that in every semester, students must register 1 course. We had 8 semesters. They all had registered 8 courses in 8 semesters. In addition to these 8 courses, they had also registered 3 more courses based on their own choices. So the courses were offered every semester to make sure that the integrative process is perpetuated, continued, and it is not stopped at some point. The hierarchy of the courses, again, the hierarchy of the courses was designed in such a way that students were able to experiment with the process of integration of Islamic knowledge without any difficulty, resistance, reservation, and interruption. So if you look at first semester courses, They were fundamental in nature. Aqidah, introduction to the Quran, introduction to Sunnah, and so on. The second semester courses were a bit higher. Likewise, the hierarchy was discussed and decided so that students would move from the beginning and reach the climax so that they will be able to really understand the philosophy behind the integration of knowledge. The 11 courses were fundamental in nature. And at the same time, the focus was made to instill the culture of integration of Islamic knowledge with social or human sciences and humanities. So the entire mind of the CFK was how to build our students to understand the concept of integration of knowledge. After understanding the concept of integration of knowledge, how they should be able to move forward with that concept of integration of knowledge. So we planned and we offered accordingly the courses, and we supervised them. We monitored them. I'll come to that later. The role of lecturers in CFK. We had a significant role as the lecturers of CFK. Weekends were not spent at home during my era of CFK. Weekends were spent in the campus. I remember Dr. Wan Azam and others, we were finishing the discussion with students around 11 o'clock at night. After that, we were going to section 14 to take nasilima and roti, telur, and so on. So we were going to those small restaurants at 12 o'clock, sitting with our colleagues up to 2, 3 o'clock, eating few eggs and roti telurs, coming back, starting our tahajjud and witr. Because our days during those time started with tahajjud and witr and ended at 11 o'clock. This was the true situation. I am an eyewitness to it. And there are also 3 eyewitnesses to this at least. Dr. Wan Azam, Professor Mumtaz, and Dr. Amna. First as a student, she was there participating, and then later on as an academic staff of CFK, because she started as an assistant lecturer in the department, in the center first. So let me draw your attention to the role of CFK lecturers. The faculty members of the CFK were different in their role, dedication, and commitment. They were not like others in other institutions, where materialistic interest dominates. In general, in other institutions and not in IIM, people are after materialistic interest. But in the IIM, from the very beginning, we were educated, we were inspired and told by our leaders and mentors that we should not think of only materialistic interests. I know some of our colleagues were given better offers elsewhere, but they refused to accept those offers from the Middle East. They decided to stay here because they felt happiness in IIM, because they were mixing with students, which was completely different from the other institutions of higher learning. So they were not like others, because in other institutions, perhaps materialistic interest dominates, sometimes at the expense of morality and spirituality. Their dealing with students were unique in CFK. It was a manifestation of a brotherly, sisterly, and fatherly atmosphere of the superlative degree, with the aim of obtaining the pleasure of Allah. They treated themselves as murabbis in the true sense. Alhamdulillah, we are very much focused on Murabbi series. We have the office of Associate Professor Dr. Lihana organizing Murabbi talks. We are inspired and reinvigorated by the talks given by our colleagues and professors. So the concept of Murabbis system was there. They treated themselves as Murabbis in the true sense. They did not feel like lecturers in the ordinary linguistic sense of the term, but rather behaved with a high degree of ethics and functioned as role models for students. If we are Murabbis, we should be role models for our students. The students will follow us. If we do not portray or manifest the Islamic religiosity, commitment, and dedication amid students, they will not be inspired. So we have to understand the true meaning and application of the concept of quote unquote role model. And that was in existence in the era of CFK. And they inculcated commendable and laudable behaviors and habits in students and sowed seeds of ummatic responsibility and consciousness. This is very important. Being an Islamic university, being an international university, being a university for the Ummah, it was focusing on sowing the seeds of ummatic responsibility and consciousness, transcending parochial, racial, ethnocentric attitudes that were then destroying Muslim unity and solidarity. We realized during that period that Muslim unity and solidarity were affected because of people's commitment to parochial, racial, and ethnocentric attitudes. So the students were taught to realize the importance and need of ummatic responsibility and consciousness. If you look at the mission statement, we have 7 mission statements. All these things are stated in different way, and they were conceptualized during the Center for Fundamental Knowledge era. I have given you, to the best of my ability, some information on academic aspects of Center for Fundamental Knowledge, which purely make us to understand that the CFK was dedicated to the integration of knowledge and the integrated education. This is based on the formal education in the classroom. CFK also had non-formal educational programs. There were 2 important non-formal educational programs. There were other programs, and I do not have time to bring in all those things. But I felt pertinent to highlight these 2 important programs which were non-formal, which really contributed to the development of Islamic personality and religiosity of our students at that time. The first was series of Ibarra camps. We had Ibarra camps in the beginning of every semester. In the beginning of every semester, there was an Ibarra camp which students must attend. What about staff? Staff must also attend. All the faculty members of CFK were with students, whether on campus or outside. Nobody was given any excuse based on any reason, because they were taught to think positively, to be with the students always. They were not thinking of providing excuses or other reasons, valid or invalid. No, they knew from the very beginning, the first 4 weeks of the semesters must be dedicated to our students. So they were not attending their wedding ceremonies or other ceremonies. They knew that Friday, Saturday, Sunday for students of the IIUM. And that took place virtually, truly. The first Ibarra camp was held in 1983. Of course, I was not there. I joined the university only in 1985. In 1983, in the first Ibarra camp, during the opening ceremony, Emeritus Professor Transri Dr. Muhammad Kamal Hassan said, and I quote, "We realize that formal education in the lecture theater, tutorials, and laboratories are effective in the transfer and accumulation of knowledge, but it is inadequate to achieve the goals of Islamic education. So Professor Kamal was of the opinion that formal education would help transferring and accumulation of knowledge, but it may not be adequate to achieve the goals of Islamic education. According to him, to achieve the goals of Islamic integrated education, apart from formal education, the university should have non-formal education. To be successful, he says, calls for the integration, again he uses the word integration, calls for the integration of formal and informal programs are crucial. The good and righteous personality which our crisis-torn society of today is crying for can only be developed out of an integral educational program that develops the intellect, the spirit, the moral behavior through the principle of submission to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the students and staff were inspired to submit and surrender totally, absolutely to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Kul inna salati wa nusuki wa mahyaya wa mamati lillahi rabbil alamin. This was the motto. In the same year, in 1983, the Honorable Minister of Education, Malaysia, Dr. Sulaiman Haji Dawood, addressing the students in the opening ceremony said, and I quote, "I am happy to note that Dr. Sulaiman Dawood was the Minister of Education at the time when this university was established, and he was giving this speech. I am happy to note that the International Islamic University is committed to implementing this concept of integral education. The Muslim community in Malaysia, as well as throughout the world, will be looking forward to seeing the products of this integral education 4 years from now." That's what Dr. Sulaiman Dawood was saying. After 4 years from 1983, he wanted to see the products. And I can see the products on this campus. Some of the products of that period are now well-established professors. They are committed to integration and Islamization of knowledge. And I have many people to name, but I have no time to name all these people. They are expecting to see not just Muslim graduates receiving their degrees, but more importantly, human beings. We are talking about Insan Sejahtera nowadays. Of course, this was highlighted, but with a different terminology in those days. More importantly, human beings who are endowed with right knowledge, right faith, and right action as required by Islam. This is the purpose of Insan Sejahtera that we are talking about today. It is the Islamic personality that the Ummah is craving for to solve its economic, social, and cultural problems. So these are the speeches of two eminent people. It is in this regard that Ibarra Camps played an extremely important role in the IIUM curriculum. As a permanent feature of the IIUM activities, the series of Ibarra Camps helped instill those non-formal elements of Islamic education, such as the development of akhlaq and correct behavior that could not be carried out in the classroom. So during the non-formal education programs, we were able to develop the akhlaq and correct behavior of students. The CFK, which organized the camp, as part of its curriculum, is to be commended for initiating the non-formal Islamic educational programs in IIUM. In fact, in an Islamic university, all units of the university, the academic as well as administrative, are equally responsible for implementing the Islamic concept of integrated education. We believed in CFK that only the CFK or other kulliyas should not be responsible for integrated education system, but all other units of the university should also equally contribute to the integration process. Likewise, if we want to really achieve the goals of Islamization and relevantization, we should not only focus on the kulliyas to contribute, but each and every unit of the university should be completely convinced and they should move forward. Look at some of the themes of Ibarra Camps. These are the themes of Ibarra Camps. For 8 semesters, we had 8 themes. For 8 semesters, we had 8 themes. Every theme was supported by an ayah of the Quran. For example, the concept of ibadah in Islam. So we said, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Every student was aware of this ayah of the Quran. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. For example, brotherhood in Islam. إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةٌ فَأَصْلِحُوا بَيْنَ أَخَوَيْكُمْ. Everybody was aware of it. So whenever we organized programs, we supported those programs with ayat and ahadith from the Quran and Sunnah. And several hundreds of ayat were remembered by our students because of that. Then, after some time, the concept of Ibadah Camp has been transformed into Islamic leadership training course, which started in 1988. So from the Ibadah, we moved on to another non-formal program called Islamic leadership training course, because at that time, it was realized leadership quality was lacking among our people in the Muslim world. So we believe that we should now focus more on developing leadership qualities among the students, and these are some of the themes of Islamic leadership training course. Due to time constraint, I don't want to elaborate that. Now we come to the intellectual development of the academic staff. The CFK had a system of weekly halaqah. There were 3 types of halaqahs every week. One halaqah was among the academic staff of the center, where every staff was required to choose one tafsir. Among the tafsir, Tafsir al-Tabari, Tafsir al-Zamakhshari, Tafsir al-Alusi, Tafsir al-Razi, Tafsir al-Sawkani, Ibn Kasir, Isaburi, al-Maraghi, Ibn Ashur, Muhammad Asad, and Sayyid Qutb. Every academic staff was given a tafsir to choose, and then he should prepare. And we meet on every Thursday, chaired by, again, Emeritus Professor Dr. Tansiri Muhammad Kamal Hassan. We were highlighting from all those 12 or 13 tafsir literature, benefiting each other. This is among the academic staff. Weekly halaqah of the academic staff, in which tafsir discourse was the main focus. Then comes the key concepts. There were many other concepts, but these were the key concepts, which are nowadays also used. Khalifatullah fil ard, amana, tazkiyatun nafs, al-amru bil ma'ruf wa nahi anil munkar. Total surrender and obedience to Allah. Mardatillah, iman wa amalus salih. Amana, we all know. Khalifatullah, tazkiyatun nafs, wa nafsin wa ma sawwaha, fa alhamaha fujuraha wa taqwaha. Kad aflaha man zakkaha wa kad khaba man dassaha. This was recited by every student in every ibadah camp. Al-amru bil ma'ruf wal nahi anil munkar. Wal taqum minkum ummatan yad'una ila al-khair. Ya'muruna bil ma'ruf wa yanhauna anil munkar wa ulaika humul muflihun. Every student was talking about it. Total surrender to Allah, for example. Kul inna salati wa nuski wa mahyaya wa mamati lillahi rabbil alamin. Say, my life, my prayer, my sacrifice, and my death are for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Mardatillah. Ya ayyatuha nafsul mutmainna. Irji'i ila rabbika radiyatan mardiya. Fadkhuli fi ibadi wadkhuli jannati. Iman wa amal salih. وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. So whenever we highlighted the concepts, they were based on a statement from the Quran, which were memorized by our students. There were many other concepts. I do not have time to elaborate. One important concept that I remember, which I should quote here, the concept of Ibadur Rahman, highlighted in halaqas, highlighted in Ibarra Camps, highlighted in other non-formal programs. وَإِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنَ الَّذِينَ يَمْشُونَ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ حَوْدًا وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. Students were told how to behave, how to walk, how to address the ignorance. So likewise, the students were given all opportunities to benefit from the Center for Fundamental Knowledge. These are the Quranic verses that I mentioned. I do not want to read it again. Weekly student halakha. I just now mentioned about staff halakha. Now I mention about weekly student halakha. All students were grouped into a weekly halakha where we had prescribed a syllabus. The syllabus consisted of the Quran, the Hadith studies, the contemporary issues, and question and answer session. So the student halakha was chaired by a naqib or a naqiba. There was a fixed syllabus from first year to fourth year. Marks were given to the halakha participation and performance, and these marks were added to one of the CFK courses. If students were to pass CFK courses, they have to attend halakas regularly, punctually, and take part and participate and make their presentations. Then comes weekly halakha with nuqaba and naqiba. This is the halakha of nuqaba and naqiba, the group leaders of students halakha. Every academic staff was given 5 or 6 or 7 nuqabas and naqibas, and they were meeting weekly. So they were discussing on these issues. For example, discussion on halakha syllabus. Whatever the syllabus was there, if the leaders were not aware of the content of the halakha, they were discussing with their mentor or advisor. So the staff has to explain the content so that the group leaders will go and transmit those contents to the students. That hierarchy was there. Discussion on halakha management, discussion on student problems, discussion on current issues. So we focused on 4 things: halakha management, halakha syllabus, student problems, and current issues. So we did not ignore the significance of current issues. We discussed up-to-date contemporary issues of the time. So students were aware of what was going on last week, because last week current contemporary issues would be discussed this week. This week issues will be discussed next week. So we kept our students alert of what has been going on in the Muslim world. These are some of the experiences and contributions of Center for Fundamental Knowledge towards integration of knowledge. We used the term integration of knowledge explicitly, but implicitly it was Islamization of knowledge. But the term was not constantly used during that time. This is the first part of my lecture. I'm watching my watch. So I'm trying to cut off my discussion because I need another half an hour with the permission of the moderator to elaborate on Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman Kulliyah of Islamic Revealed Knowledge and Human Sciences. It was established in 1990. It had 2 divisions: Islamic Revealed Knowledge and Heritage and Human Sciences. The Center for Fundamental Knowledge was transformed into a Department of Islamic Revealed Knowledge and Heritage, and then the Kulliyah established several departments: Department of Sociology, Anthropology, Department of Political Science, Department of Communication, Department of Psychology, Department of History, Department of Philosophy, Department of English, Arabic, and Department of Library and Information Science. All of them put under Human Sciences. You may ask why English and Arabic should be there. They were there like that. The reason was, I will tell you later. The Kulliya was unique in many respects. At the time of establishment, these things were very much important. The Kulliya was unique in many respects. I remember Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman. Until 2016, whenever he talked about this university, he would spend more time about this Kulliya. He was going to Indonesia, he was going to India, he was going to Turkey, he was going to Lebanon, talking about the experience of this Kulliya, because he established this Kulliya. It is his brainchild, and he wanted this Kulliya to flourish, and it should become a role model for the Muslim world. That was his ambition. So a day will come, inshallah, with the sacrifices and contributions of our young academic staff, this Kulliya should become a separate university focusing on Islamization, integration, and relevantization of knowledge. Among the uniqueness include major minor system. Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman wanted to experiment his theory of integration and Islamization of knowledge. For that, he said many times he was establishing this Kulliya because he had this in his mind. So we had two divisions, Islamic Revealed Knowledge Division and Human Sciences. All human sciences students were required to minor in revealed knowledge, and the revealed knowledge students were required to minor in human sciences. So Arabic and English students were treated as human sciences students, and they were required to minor in revealed knowledge. Double degree concept. We had the concept of double degree at that time. Even now it is there, but it is not really fully appreciated by students, unfortunately. So we had a double degree concept. Every student must minor. So the minor major setup would complete in 4 years. By spending 1 more year, the students were able to do another degree. That means by spending 5 years, a student would have Bachelor of Human Sciences in Psychology, Bachelor of Islamic Revealed Knowledge and Heritage. We have our Honorable Dean as a model for that. Academic advising. Yes, we had an academic advising system. When I was the Deputy Dean from 1991 until 1994 of the Kulliya, I was in charge of academic advising. Some of our colleagues may know that. So we divided the entire Kulliya students into groups, and every academic staff was given 5 to 6 groups, and all their academic and other activities were completely monitored, supervised by the academic staff under the slogan, under the banner of academic advising. Though we use the term academic advising, they were not only academically advised, they were advised in all aspects of their life, so that they would be able to choose their minor, choose their courses, choose their future, and many things. We also operate full credit hour system, which is not in place now. Full credit hour system means students were allowed to register courses according to their own choice. This has provided an opportunity for students to graduate in 3 years. If students' CGPA was high, say for example, a student had 3.5, he would be able to graduate in 3 years. If a student had only 2.0, then he would take normal period of 4 years. So those students who were excellent were able to graduate in 3 years, and by spending 1 more year, they were able to take another degree. So excellent students were able to obtain 2 degrees, one in human sciences, one in revealed knowledge. That system was also there. Islamization was made the niche of the Kulliya. So when we talk about the niche of the Kulliya, it was Islamization of the Kulliya. Islamization of knowledge. Arabic was emphasized for human sciences students to help facilitate the process of Islamization. It was believed that human sciences students must be at par with IRK students. Never IRK students were given higher level of Arabic and human sciences students were given lower level of Arabic. Both the levels of Arabic were the same because it was expected that human sciences students would minor in IRK, taking minor courses in IRK in Arabic language, which would facilitate them to do double degree. So keeping this future in mind, Arabic proficiency was emphasized. Special courses were offered to improve the proficiency of both Arabic and English. Yes, for human science students, Arabic proficiency was emphasized. For IRK students, English proficiency was emphasized. To make students understand the history of the early Ummah, we offered a course called the Early Ummah. The Early Ummah was a course designed and offered to all students of the Kulliyah so that they know what was the contribution of the early Ummah to human civilization. That was there. We had also another course called Tawheed and the Methodology of Human Sciences. This was to practically educate undergraduate students to know the integrative and Islamizing dimension. So Tawheed and the Methodology of Human Sciences was offered to all students. Then we are talking about Insan Sejatra, Insanul Kamil, and many other things nowadays. Alhamdulillah, in the 1990, when the Kulliyah was established during its formative period, it offered a course called Man in the Quran and Sunnah. Al-Insan fil Quran al-Kareem wa Sunnah. It was there. These three courses were there, and they were offered with the purpose of making our students realize the contributions of the early Ummah, understand the integration and Islamization methodologies, and also play a role of Khulafa by understanding the role of man in the Quran and Sunnah. So these three courses were there. They were unique in the Kulliyah. Of course, I just put in another form, the early Ummah, man in the Quran Sunnah, Tawheed and the Methodology of Human Sciences. With your permission. Okay, Islamization in the Kulliyah. International experts on Islamization were appointed to head departments. If you look at 1990, when the Kulliyah was established, all heads of departments were internationally reputed professors because they were brought by the rector to lead the process of Islamization in all disciplines. That was the beginning. Later, young people were appointed from Malaysia because the university had reached the decision that we have sufficient human resources to lead the departments. And therefore, this is not found now. International experts on Islamization were invited. Of course, there were a series of seminars and conferences on Islamization. Many people, almost all those proponents and authors of Islamization of knowledge came here from 1988 to 1998. For 10 years, this Kulliyah and also other Kulliyahs were busy seeing international experts on Islamization of knowledge. That helped motivating our staff and students. I know in the beginning, some of our colleagues may agree with me, people resisted Islamization of knowledge. They openly questioned the rector about Islamization of knowledge. During the tea break, during the coffee break, during the lunch break in Ibn Khaldun conference room in Petaling Jaya, there were heated discussions on the term whether it should be Ma'ariful Wahi, it should be Ulubul Wahi. It should be revealed knowledge, it should be Islamic revealed knowledge. Discussions took place for several days and weeks and months. And finally, all issues have been settled. Yes, visiting professors were appointed. Kulliyah Islamization Committee was formed. There was a committee called Kulliyah Islamization Committee. This the Kulliyah Islamization Committee was responsible to study the course outlines of all departments before they are sent to Senate for endorsement. A course outline that was not approved by the Kulliyah Islamization Committee would not be allowed to send to the higher body, the Senate, for its endorsement. So the members would provide their feedback, and their feedback would be written to the heads of departments, and they would be asked to redo the course outline. So all course outlines were vetted by experienced experts of Islamization of knowledge in their respective discipline. Focus was made to write textbooks. Of course, I was sharing with Associate Professor Dr. Hasina before I came here that from 1988 to 1998, focus was made to write textbooks based on our course outlines on the basis of Islamization of knowledge. funding was available, resources were available, everything was available, but people were not able to really understand the process and the methodology of Islamization at that time. Now, Alhamdulillah, we are able to understand. We don't have any question. We don't have any doubt. We don't have any reservation. We are fully committed to right. But in those days, I'm talking about 25 years from now, we were not that much clear. And those who violently and vehemently opposed Islamization of knowledge at that time are now the proponents of Islamization of knowledge. I can see from their writings. Academics played a key role in advising students. Of course, academic staff were made responsible to speak to students on various ways and means regarding IOK. Special seminars and workshops were held. Definitely, we all were aware of that. The departments were instructed to assist students to choose topics for research in line with IOK. There were written instructions from the office of the dean to even construct titles of theses and give those titles to students. And if the students would like to choose those titles, they were thinking of even providing some extra incentives for students to really choose those topics. Because in research, people have freedom to choose topics according to their own understanding and interest. But here, they are going to work according to what we want. So we want to support financially and otherwise. It was there. Political science, psychology, and sociology and anthropology departments were somewhat moving forward. In my view, these three departments were moving forward in Islamization, and there are proofs for their improvement, although people may not agree with me, but I will show you later some statistics. Diploma in Islamic revealed knowledge and heritage was offered to all newly appointed academic staff from non-Islamic background. So in the Kulliyah, we developed a program called Diploma of Islamic Revealed Knowledge and Heritage. It was a diploma compulsory for all newly appointed academic staff of the university who come from non-Islamic background. Whether they were from engineering or architecture or medicine, they were required to pass this diploma before specific period mentioned in the offer letter or in the appointment letter of the MST. Likewise, diploma in human sciences was offered for academic staff who were coming from non-human sciences background. If students, if lecturers were coming from only pure Islamic traditional background, without having the knowledge of human sciences, they were asked to take human sciences. The purpose of these two diplomas was to ensure that academic staff were aware of the niche of the Kulliyah, which was Islamization of knowledge. If they do not understand the Islamization of knowledge, its methodology, its epistemology, its process, and other things, they would not be able to admire students. So first, the academic staff must be equipped. So programs were designed. Now, these diplomas are conducted by centuries. And some of our colleagues are teaching in centuries. And thanks to centuries that it is offering these two diplomas. Okay, next, with the permission of, okay. Examples of Islamization in the Kulliyah. I'm not sure whether I checked before I came here in the website. During the formative period, I was in the committee which designed the curriculum of human sciences departments. We discussed days and nights at length. These courses were compulsory. Foundations for political science in the Quran and Sunnah. Foundation for psychology in the Quran and Sunnah. Foundations for sociology in the Quran and Sunnah. Foundations for communication in the Quran and Sunnah. Foundations for history in the Quran and Sunnah. Foundations for philosophy in the Quran and Sunnah. These courses were offered. And the Kulliyah was providing all material support to those who were teaching these courses to come up with textbooks, so that people would not have difficulties to know that all these human sciences disciplines are having foundations in the Quran and Sunnah. Because we start with the Quran and Sunnah for the purpose of Islamization of knowledge. Now, status of Islamization in the Kulliyah as of 2017. I was appointed as the director of centuries in 2018, and director instructed me to study the Islamization phenomena in the Kulliyahs of the university. I prepared a proposal and I submitted to the director. The director said, don't ask fund from external agencies, we will provide you fund. Although one agency has promised to give 20,000 ringgit, but the director said, don't take money from any agency. We will fund this project because this is our project. We started. I'm sure Dr. Nusuria is aware of it. She was there as deputy director of centuries at that time. So we appointed research assistants. We preferred to have a pilot study of 3 kulliyas: Kulliyah of Islamic Revealed Knowledge and Human Sciences, Kulliyah of Economics, and Kulliyah of Laws. We thought that we go for pilot study of these 3 kulliyas, and later we move forward to other kulliyas. Of course, the students, particularly the research assistants, were given guidelines of evaluating the thesis and course outlines. So the methodology applied was qualitative content analysis of the course outlines, focusing on the title, course description, learning outcomes, weekly lecture content, and references, and MA and PhD thesis in 2016 and 17. We only focused on the theses and course outlines of 2 years, 2016 and 2017. I just share with you the findings for our kulliyah. MA and PhD theses of human sciences contain 27.9% of Islamization. So this was the finding based on our study. Then comes here, we have 6 departments. Department of Psychology has 35.03% of Islamization. Department of English, 7.77% of Islamization. Department of Political Science, 26.58% Islamization. History, 33.19% of Islamization. Communication, 15.23% of Islamization. And SOCA, 25.53% of Islamization. This finding was based on the study and evaluation of the course outlines of these 2 departments for 2016 and 2017. This is my observation on the status report. As far as I'm concerned, I'm satisfied with the percentage of Islamization because we started with the 0% in 1990. And we moved on towards achieving our goals and objectives amidst many unprecedented challenges. And yet we were able to achieve more than 25% of Islamization in most of the departments. And I see the Kulliyah of Islamic Revealed Knowledge has the potential to improve. But staff need motivation. Staff need motivation. Yes, they are motivated, but they need more motivation. Perhaps incentives for Islamization projects may be introduced. If anyone wants to write on Islamization, we give them extra incentives. 10-year strategic plan for Islamization. I think the Kulliyah should come up with 10-year project for Islamization. We are in 2021. By 2031, I will not be here. Some of our colleagues may not be here. We all will retire, but we want to leave something concrete for our next generation. So we should work hard from now so that we produce and document all our activities and contributions for future. We want the future generation not to be confused, but to really carry forward what we produce and what we do now. This is very important for me, and I want my colleagues also to share with you. Curriculum reviews should take place in a way that the review processes shall not dilute or sacrifice the objective of Islamization, which is the niche of the Kulliyah. My only worry is when we go for curriculum reviews, sometimes we may tend to forget our objectives, our existence, our niche area, and gradually it is possible to dilute or sacrifice the objectives of Islamization in the Kulliyah. Now we come to the way forward. I have to rush. Dr. Amila, can I have another 5 to 6 minutes with your permission? I have exceeded the time. Okay, thank you very much. The way forward. Of course, in my way forward, I am providing suggestions based on my own understanding, my own analysis, my own belief in the process of Islamization of knowledge. I may be biased, but please forgive me if I have exceeded the limit in providing my suggestions in the name of the way forward. I'm sure Professor Shukran is our dean. We are gifted with this dean because he is our product and he knows every nook and corner of this kulliyah. He knows each and every aspect of the kulliyah. He knows every personality of the kulliyah. He knows how to take work from the people. I'm not praising or exaggerating. This is the truth. It is important that we have someone who is the product of this kulliyah, is leading the kulliyah, is greatly appreciated. Thanks to the authorities for appointing such a personality as our dean. The kulliyah management may discuss the following suggestions as an integral part of its way forward and put its decisions in writing and disseminate the key points among the academics. If possible, the kulliyah may develop its own internal KPI to achieve its aims and objectives. People may not agree with me. I want an internal KPI to be set for our kulliyah staff to fulfill our objectives. If you don't fulfill, there will be no punishment. If you fulfill, there is reward from us and from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Think that it is a mission. This is an amana entrusted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. First, to conduct a survey among academics of each department regarding their publications relating to integration, Islamization, relevantization, to know the current status. We want to know the current status. Where are we? How many articles were produced on the basis of Islamization? How many books were produced based on Islamization? How many books are impactful? How many articles are impactful? How many books and articles are used by other institutions of higher learning with regard to Islamization process? To study the course outlines of the past 5 years, if possible, to underline the gradual progress and the depth of Islamization in human sciences. It will disclose whether we are moving forward or not. Like the centrists did, an analysis of 2017 and 16, the kulliyah may do from 2018 until 2021 to see whether we have moved forward or we are static. It is important for us to know first, where do we stand? And we have to disseminate everything transparently to our academic staff so that they plan in line with Islamization of knowledge. To analyze MBA and PhD thesis to explore the percentage of Islamization. It will give an idea of what has been going on in the kulliyah. The academics will know the current status in this respect. Of course, Associate Professor Hasina is here. She is in charge of postgraduate and research, responsible research. She may want to consider, and she may want to come up with a project of studying the MA and PhD thesis produced by our students to see the content, the percentage of Islamization, so that we can plan accordingly. To prepare a kulliyah database on the publication of academics. We have publications. I'm not sure, maybe it exists. So we have to prepare, we have to come up with a kulliyah database. To compile and republish, if possible, the key writings on Islamization and make them available for students. Whether IIM Press or outside the IIM Press, there are publications by academic staff related to Islamization of knowledge. Their publications are not reprinted or republished because of the current financial situation. Therefore, the Kulliyah should make some attempts to republish and make them available to our future young academic staff as well as students. To compile an encyclopedia of Islamization in each discipline. This can be given to every department. Department of Sociology can come up with encyclopedia of sociology, or encyclopedia of Islamization of sociology, encyclopedia of Islamization of psychology, and so on. To begin with, we may have first volume in 3 years from now. That will inspire people. Nowadays, our students are very lazy. They're very lazy. They're at home. They have many problems. Now they are used for the past 2 years to sit in front of a laptop to read and listen to. If you ask them to come to campus, you are going to have really problems because they may say, sir, I'm afraid of third wave or the fourth wave or fifth wave. My parents are scaring me. So they are now luxuriously staying at home. And moreover, the reading culture is becoming very minimum nowadays. Our students are not reading, honestly speaking. I asked my postgraduate students, even yesterday in my class, how many books you read on Jamaluddin Afghani and Muhammad Abduhu? Because you're going to write a paper on that. They rely on Professor Google and Professor Wikipedia. They know how to. Many other books, Facebooks or handbooks or notes books, there are many books nowadays. To develop short and long-term plans measuring the achievements of the objectives of the Kulliyah in terms of integration and Islamization, which I have said before, to organize regular training programs on the Islamization process by bringing the experts from other research organizations from overseas. Yes, if we have research organizations overseas and they are really working in the way that we think of Islamization of knowledge, we may bring them. Of course, we don't need to bring them nowadays because it's not easy. It's not possible due to funding problems. We can have a webinar or a seminar online. We can benefit from them, inshallah. To provide conducive facilities for academics to write books from the Islamization relevantation perspective. Yes, we are doing this. We are providing facilities. But can we have an empirical data of how many people are listening to our Islamization agenda? How many are writing related to the Islamization of agenda? To set up trust fund to finance Islamization. Every Kulliyah has a trust fund. Can we have a trust fund for Islamization of knowledge? And we fund the projects of Islamization of knowledge from this fund. We may raise fund. There are external agencies which are committed to Islamization of knowledge. There are individuals who are committed to Islamization of knowledge. They are willing to contribute, provided we develop a mechanism, a scientific mechanism to fund our students. We may even receive applications from our colleagues and lecturers and students on Islamization of knowledge. We can channel those applications to external agencies. This is an application. This is from A. And this person needs 45,000 ringgit to write a book on that. Would you sponsor? So an agency in the Kulliyah can do that. To publish a 30th anniversary volume, I'm sure that Prof. Shukran is planning that, to publish a 30th anniversary volume of the Kulliyah by highlighting the contributions of academic and administrative staff for the past 30 years. The world needs to know Kulliyah's history and its contributions. We have 30 years history from now. Many people have come and gone. Many people have contributed. Some of them are documented, some of them are not documented. Now we have to work documenting all their activities and contributions and come up with a volume. It may be expensive, but I'm sure that there are people who can fund such projects. To make the Kulliyah a model for other institutions of learning. This is one of the aspirations of Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman. I was recently listening to a video speech which he gave in India in 2014 or 15, I'm not sure. He started to deliver a speech on Islamization of knowledge and its need. He spent the whole time given to him to describe about this university and particularly about the Kulliya and its achievements on Islamization of knowledge. So he was dreaming to move on to the second stage, the third stage, and go on. He was optimistic. He was never pessimistic. He was never disappointed. People had come to see him and told him that this was going on and that was going on. He said, brother, I don't want to listen to all these things. I want you to contribute. Don't tell me this is wrong and that is wrong. What can you do for this Kulliya? What can you do this for this university? What can you do for Islamization agenda? That was his response. We met him in 2016 in the VC bungalow. He had series of discussions. I'm sure some of our colleagues were attending, and he was actually expressing his desire, his intention, his dream. And he said in that 2016 meeting, probably this may be my last visit to Malaysia. And I think he did not come after 2016. So please help us to, I'm asking the learned audience, the academic staff of our Kulliya, to come up with projects on Islamization of knowledge. We are not forcing you. We are not adding more burdens on you. You have your own time. You have teaching responsibility. You have research responsibility. You have family responsibility. You have national responsibility. You have many other responsibilities. And yet, give us some time. Think from today and come up with something based on Islamization of knowledge in your field of expertise and specialization. You may take 4 years or you may take 5 years, but at the end, bring something concrete for the future generation so that we can sustain. To study the impact of those who underwent the major minor program of the Kulliya by conducting a survey among the graduates of the Kulliya. We had the major minor system in the Kulliya, which was mandatory, I think until 2015 or 16. Is it possible to conduct a survey among the alumni of the Kulliya who had gone through the major minor system to see from them to what extent they benefited from this major minor system? This may help us to plan for future. Now I'm appealing to our Honorable Dean, please consider offering compulsory major minor for students of the Kulliya, if possible. I know there are constraints, there are policy issues, there are other external factors, but if the environment is conducive, we may consider offering major minor to students, which may not be elective, but may be compulsory. To come up with capacity building workshops, we identify 2 or 3 from each department who are enthusiastic, young and dynamic academics. We identify 2 or 3 from each department, give them intensive capacity building training. We may even send them to other organizations which are committed to Islamization of knowledge to learn various methodologies and strategies of Islamization of knowledge. Al-Faruqi's methodology, Attas methodology, Professor Kamal Hassan's methodology, and there are other methodologies, perhaps Taha Jabir Alawani's methodology. There are methodologies of Islamization of knowledge. So why not we choose people who are interested and then develop them to be the resource persons of their departments for future. So we have to plan for 2030s, and 2030s people will plan for 2040s. We are in 2020s, Let us plan for 2030s. People who occupy the leadership positions in 2030 may plan for 2040 and so on. To develop new strategies for Islamization in the light of the Kuliya experience. This is what I would like to appeal to our Honorable Dean, that we have many methodologies and strategies. We had experience. We may now come up with our own methodology. Kuliya of Islamic revealed knowledge and human sciences, methodology of Islamization and study, which may be different or which may be an integrated methodologies of other people. We can simplify it. Because Farooqi's methodology is not that easy. Farooqi's methodology says that you have to master human science disciplines. Are we mastering? I do not know human science discipline. How can I go through the process of Islamization of knowledge? How many of us are competent enough in understanding At-Turas al-Islami? How many of us are able to understand tafsir literature, hadith literature, fiqh literature, seerah literature, and so on? So in capacity building workshops, we may identify people of interest and then train them. To train our lecturers to experiment based on different methodologies, okay? To consider offering a compulsory course on Islamization of knowledge at undergraduate level. I think we have spent 30 years, and so far we have been offering Islamization of knowledge at postgraduate level. Can we think of offering a course on Islamization of knowledge at undergraduate level? It may be an elective to begin with. And if we see more responses from students, we may make it a core course, but it depends upon the planning by departments. But we throw the idea, after spending 30 years in the Kulliya, if we say that we are moving forward, we are leading in the project of Islamization of knowledge, then the first question is, are we educating our own students of undergraduate program who are with us for 4 years on Islamization of knowledge? Why not we think about it again? To provide scholarships to those who do double degree in the Kulliya, we need to encourage the double degree system. We need to encourage. Of course, we can explore the funding possibilities from outside agencies so that we can pick up 3 from sociology, 3 from psychology, 3 from political science, 3 from communication, 3 from English, 3 from history, and ask them to do minor in IRK and then do double degree. And then when these people go with double degrees, they will be championing the cause of Islamization of knowledge because they have the knowledge of Islamization of knowledge. As of now, they know only some vocabularies of Islamization of knowledge. They may know some theories of Islamization of knowledge. They may not know fully what is meant by Islamization of knowledge. Well, to ensure, this is the last suggestion, to ensure that the change of policy at the university level should not affect the Kulliya philosophy of Islamization. So this is my humble suggestion, humble opinion, humble remark. Having spent 36 years in this university, I have seen change in policy at the university level has affected the Kulliya philosophy of Islamization to some extent. Although we have freedom, there's no doubt on that. But we need to really deliberate on that. We need to discuss with people who are concerned about our vision, mission, objectives, and also our future for the sustainability of the Muslim Ummah. We are talking about sustainable development. We are in this Kulliya focusing on the sustainable development of the Kulliya, spiritually, morally, academically, intellectually, so that they will become leaders of the Muslim Ummah. With this brief suggestions under the heading of the way forward, I take this opportunity to thank the Kulliya administration, and in particular our beloved Dean, Professor Dr. Shukran, and other members who have been organizing series of professorial lecture. And also I thank my head of the department, Associate Professor Dr. Amila, my colleagues, my friends, and all those who are listening to my lecture from different places using Zoom or YouTube, from their homes, from their offices, from their countries. Thank you all very much. Thank you all very much. Wabillahi tawfiq wal hidayah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, Professor THAMEEM, for such inspiring and insightful lecture, I would say. You could bring back what happened in the early stage of the university when we were not even here. Like me, Prof. Shukran, we joined only in 1991, 1990. Then we did not know actually about CFK. MashaAllah, it was such a very informative lecture, and I think everybody can have, mashallah, very much advantage out of that. And you can see that, mashallah, IIUM had been advanced in creating such molding personality as a holistic development and the character building, which is now becoming the niche, the something that is very, very important. Even UN, UNESCO, and everybody is looking for the character building, and actually it is not an easy. And especially now people are talking about post-pandemic ethics, whatever. Actually, it's going back to the being independent, isn't it? Not only about knowing, but really practice that. And would like to share that what I would say that the program of CFK and IRKHS at the beginning was, I would say, it's very successful. And I heard that, for example, during my batches, Dr. Adiba also, the favorite candidate for example, PTD in Malaysia were among the IUM, and now they are now a VIP people in the government. So because it's about the English and as well as about the minor and major, okay, maybe we have student here, we have Anas here, the president, then we know this is actually what we need to know. So then Prof. Tamil also gave us a lot of take-home things. Then we need to think about it. Inshallah, we try our best to have that with leadership of Professor Shukran. And for that, I think now I would like to hand over the sermon to Brother Iskandar.
Thank you very much, Associate Professor Dr. Amila and Professor Dr. THAMEEM, for sharing the knowledge with us. As an appreciation from the organizer, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Shukran Abdul Rahman, Dean of AHAS KRKHS, to give the present to our speaker and moderator. I invite our esteemed speaker, Professor Dr. THAMEEM Usama, to receive the present. I invite our moderator, Associate Professor Dr. Amila Awang Abdul Rahman, to receive the present. Thank you, Prof. Shukran. We hope that this small initiative will produce a big positive impact to IUM and beyond. Once again, thank you everyone for gracing our ceremony with your attendance, especially our speaker and moderator. We truly appreciate it. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to apologize if there were any shortcomings throughout the session. With that, I end my duty as Master of Ceremony for this event with the recitation of Surah Al-As and Tasbih Kafarah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. We will be having a photography session at the Dean's office. Hence, the deanery members, speaker and moderator are invited to join the session. Thank you. Dear guests, we also